Kia ora, I'm Rosemary from the Birthing Room. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make an eco-friendly birth mat for a home birth. Now, families sometimes get a little bit worried about the mess ahead when preparing for their home birth, and also how much rubbish can be accumulated during a home birth, or even the use of plastic during a home birth. So today I'm going to be showing you how you can get around both those issues. A bit of a mess, and B, making your home birth eco-friendly. So the first thing that you're going to need to do to prepare for your home birth is to make a birth mat. Now, something like this tarpaulin makes a great starting place. But essentially you need something that's waterproof on the bottom of your birth mat, so that any mess or water is contained in the birth mat and doesn't flow through to either your bed, the couch or the floor, wherever you're wanting to use your birth mat. So your base layer needs to be around about this big, which is about 1.5 meters by 2 meters. Anything bigger and it just gets too heavy to lug around the house, and anything smaller just doesn't really quite cut it. You find that you can't really get into the right positions that you're wanting to in labour because you're worried about being off your birth mat. So a tarpaulin or something that's being reused is a great bottom layer. Something like an old shower curtain works really well, or something that you can later on reuse again, like this tarpaulin that makes a great undersheet for a tent when we go camping. Because you do want to reuse this bottom layer if you can, or use something that you can recycle. So step one is to lay your ground sheet out on the floor so that it's flat. For the purposes of today, we've used this tarpaulin and it's folded in half, but when you're making your proper one for your own birth mat, you want to just have it in a single layer laid out on the floor. Step two is that you're going to need something for your inner layer that is absorbent. Now, for your eco-friendly birth mat, I recommend that you use newspaper because it can easily be composted after your birth. However, if you have an old duvet around your home, you can also use that, or many layers of old towels if you were going to be throwing them out anyway. You can see now that our second layer is looking great. We have around about at least 10 layers of newspaper overlapping each other. Now, you could even double that if you were concerned. This makes for a nice, soft, cushy layer in the middle of your birth mat that can be composted. The third step of making your eco-friendly birth mat is to place a soft layer on top. So for the purposes of this birth mat, I found an old blanket. You can find old woolen blankets in second-hand shops, or use a sheet that you're going to throw out because it's got a few holes in the end. Anything that is old and that you didn't want anyway makes a great soft top layer. Now that our top layer is in place, we need to make the whole thing secure so that you can drag it around your house wherever you might be labouring in the moment. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can secure the edges of your birth mat. You can either choose to do something like duct tape, but at the end of the day, this and your top layer is going to be thrown out. Or you can use some wool and do a blanket stitch around so that you can just cut the wool, pull it out at the end and get rid of that. Start by folding up the edges of your birth mat. And then secure with duct tape or wool and a blanket stitch. Then go ahead and do your second side. can see, we've made a beautiful, soft top, eco-friendly birth mat. Now instead of, after your birth, just rolling up this birth mat and throwing it out, which usually takes at least a whole rubbish bag to do, or a whole council rubbish bin, we can reuse and reduce our waste of this so much. So after you've had your baby, ask your birth team to take off the edging and throw that out or compost the wool. Get rid of the top layer, which hopefully is a compostable material that will decompose even if it's within a waste system. Take out the middle layer and compost the newspaper. It will be really good for your compost and really good for your garden. And then the bottom layer you can take outside, squirt some dishwashing liquid on it and blast it with a hose, and it should come out as good as new. So that way you've really reduced your waste down to just a small portion after your birth. Other ideas of eco-friendly birth mats are to use a whāriki, which is a woven birth mat made out of harakiki. You could also choose to use a different bottom layer by using a material and covering it with something like beeswax, or even just a silicone spray that will eventually wear out. Also consider using metal straws for your birth instead of plastic ones, and using reusable maternity pads instead of disposable ones. Just these little things can really add up into benefiting our environment. Thanks for joining me today. Look forward to seeing you next time.